Bishop. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Chairman Smith and Ranking Member Bass, as well as the other distinguished members of the subcommittee. Thank you very much for having us here before you today. This hearing couldn't come at a more critical time, as it elevates the responsibility to protect the most vulnerable ethno-religious populations in Iraq and in Syria. I'd like to mention, when I mention Christians, it will include Chaldeans, Syrian, Syriac-based Christians, who to this day still speak the Aramaic language, the language of Jesus Christ, and uphold an ancient culture and identity. This, as we speak, is under threat of extinction in that region. Iraq and Syria's Christians are part of the original inhabitants of ancient Mesopotamia, cradle of civilization, who played a crucial role in the advancement of the sciences and philosophies of the region, and even had a great influence on the West. Since the fall of Mosul in early June 2014, Christians have endured targeted persecution in the form of forced displacement, sexual violence, other human rights violations. All 45 churches and monasteries around Mosul fell to the hands of ISIS, which subsequently removed the buildings, crosses, burned, looted, and destroyed much of these properties. By late July, the last of the Christians in Mosul escaped the city following an edict issued by ISIS offering minorities the option to either convert to Islam, pay a tax, flee, or to be killed, leading to a modern-day genocide. Before Iraq, ISIS had committed horrible genocidal atrocities against the Christians in Syria. Although I represent and will speak about the Christians, ISIS has committed horrific atrocities against the Yazidis, of which my fellow brother sitting next to me will be talking in more detail about, and other sects, including Muslims themselves, but I'm here to represent the Christians. It's important to recognize that the atrocities in Iraq began as early as 2005. This preceded ISIS. Christians and other minorities in Iraq have experienced their own slow and perpetual genocide. I wish to note that the Obama administration, including President Obama himself, have neglected to mention that the ISIS atrocities were committed against Christians. Time and time again, they rightly mention atrocities committed in Iraq against the Yazidis, absolutely, and they are horrific. But there are also atrocities of rape and killings and crucifixions of Christians, beheadings, hangings that the Syrian and Iraqi Christians have endured, and they are intentionally omitted. I hate to say this, but this they do to their own shame. There are more than 150,000 Iraqi Christians who are now displaced in northern Iraq, or are refugees in other countries, such as approximately 35,000 refugees in Jordan, 60,000 refugees in Lebanon, 30,000 in Turkey, who are being victimized, and I hate to say this, by the Obama administration in not recognizing their suffering. There are countless Christian villages in Syria who have been taken over by ISIS and have encountered genocide, and the Obama administration again refuses to recognize their plight. And again, I say, shame on you. Speaking of these refugees, I do want to take the opportunity to recognize Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey. They've been overwhelmed by these refugees, and yet they have never closed their doors. And they're not only the Christian refugees, the Muslim refugees, the Yazidi refugees, all other minorities as well. They have never closed their doors. And especially I want to recognize Turkey, who went out of their way to grant them free medical needs, free education, countless other opportunities by an act of parliament. That's huge on the country, to all Iraqi refugees. But this also brings me to a very sensitive issue. Should these refugees be brought to the United States? And if so, should we differentiate between Muslim, Christian, or Yazidi refugees? In my mind, it shouldn't be an issue, because the other Middle Eastern countries should have stepped up as well. Why is it only the West, other than the three countries that I mentioned? Here's my point. Where's the best place for a Muslim Syrian refugee to settle? Kuwait or Germany? Saudi Arabia or Canada? Qatar or America? My point, it's much easier for an Arab refugee to start over in a country where the language is the same, culture is similar, and the official religion of that country is the same. Of course, there's always that identifying differentiation between the Sunni and the Shiite. Where's the best place for a Yazidi or a Christian refugee? What ISIS was able to do is the Christian does not feel safe, neither does the Yazidi in his own country. Targeting of the Christian for rape, loss of property, killings, etc., as well as the Yazidi, has caused a loss of trust. Christians have not been part of any terrorist activity, but instead have been the targets of terrorist activities. And now they are being looked at as possible terrorists when they are also lumped and they're told that you can't come to any of these, and at least to the United States. This is simply unfair on top of everything that they have gone through. Go back, but shouldn't be the same for Muslim anywhere in the in the Middle East. I ask, where's Kuwait in all of this? Where's Saudi Arabia? Where's Qatar? Where's Bahrain? Where Arabs pride themselves on what is called Arab hospitality, which includes the proper treatment of those who are needy. What happened to welcoming them as guests and sharing with them their needs? The Muslim faith is very clear about this as well. Where are they? I speak this to their shame as well. Does this mean that no Muslim, Syrian, or Iraqi refugee should enter a Western country? No, absolutely not. I don't, not at all. I merely am saying that it would be a much easier task, and I believe many, if given the opportunity, would prefer to remain in a safe Middle Eastern country than go to Sweden and feel lost. Do I say all? No. But today, it's not even an option. And again, I say this to their shame, who've lost their Arab dignity and Muslim faith. The reason is these refugees are seen as surplus, undignified, excess trash. They don't want them in their countries. Possible solutions. First, U.S. government needs to continue to work with United Nations and other churches, charities, private corporations. We need to find aid. The numbers that were mentioned by Chairman Chris Smith are beyond understanding, especially in places like Syria. I mean, the basic needs of these human beings are not being met. Second, the U.S. government should not turn a blind eye to the genocidal atrocities. Proclaim it for what it is. If it's not, then it's not. If it is, then it is. Truth will set you free, a famous man once said. Autonomous regions for Christians is a third possibility. They need safety. If we want them to live in safety, we need to provide it for them. Short of a genuine solution, Christians and other ethno-religious minorities of Nineveh will become extinct. Thank you for your time.